So garlic clove basically starts with a line, as most of these things do. So we get a line that kind of has a little sort of dot either side. And then you can either kind of go big and arc round and then sort of draw in your lines, and your lines tend to come from the top and go and meet the bottom basically, so they're always going to come out of this top spot and go down to this bottom spot, if that helps. And I know I think when I was doing a practice I kind of went a little bit awry with that, but as I say every week, it is what it is. And then we just kind of do the same on the other side. I think I kind of didn't come out of the center basically when I was in it, and they don't have to match, so you don't have to, if you have 4 lines this side, you don't have to have 4 lines this side. That's entirely up to you, but if you wanted to, you could just kind of aura the middle line a little bit just to make it a little bit finer. You can kind of just build on that middle. And I think one that I showed last week that we didn't get to do, that I think we might actually try this week, was Zenith. Okay, so that was where we basically did a wavy line like so, and then you kind of have a dot really on each, in the middle point of each of those, and then you kind of come from the bottom and meet that dot, and then you'll do a kind of sweeping arc like a rainbow really, or a backward C, kind of just joining up, and then that will continue down to that. And the thing about this, that's Zenith, the thing about Zenith is you can build on it, so you could either have like orbs in the center that then again you can build on. So I think on the back of this one I've done some orbs and auraed them, so you can kind of have an orb and then you can do a little aura on that. Okay, so the thing about this, as I say, I think it's a good one because it can be built on and expanded. So I'm going to start. So I got my pencil, got my pen, got my turtle. I'm just getting my things all together so I'm not scrummaging around. So now we're going to just relax, and we're going to just be thinking about the space that we're in just right now, and we're going to take a deep breath in and just let it go, and in and let it go. Okay, and just think about, you're just sitting in this space. Make that connection with the bottom, your bottom on the seat, and your feet, if possible, flat on the floor. And if you've got your shoulders tensed up, just let them drop. Just relax. And we're going to start. Okay. So I'm going to put a dot in each of the corners. And just as we're drawing this line, so breathing in and out. Breathe in and out. Okay. And then we will do our string. And as I say, I'm going to do a loop. So I'll just come down. I'm going to do a loop. And just like so. And then I'm going to get my pen, and then we'll start. On this side, I think I will start with our little garlic clove that I just showed you. So I'm going to just start in the center actually here, because I'm going to just let it build from a point. So find your starting point, wherever that might be, and do your first line. And from now on, you're just going to concentrate on each of those lines, just one at a time that you're drawing. That's the only thing that you're going to be concentrating on. So I'll just start. So do an arc round. And then I'm just going to come in and do another one on the other side. And okay. And then from that one, I'm going to do a line. Okay. And just remember that when you meet another line, we imagine that it's going underneath. And then I'll do another line here. And then from here, you can have some that are just, they would be going behind. So if you imagine that there's maybe a line coming out of here, but I can't see the end of it. So I'm just going to imagine that it's going in there. And I can actually have one kind of coming out from the end of one of the cloves like this. And remember that you can turn your tile so that it's comfortable for you. And then again, I could have one, excuse me, that's coming out of the end of this one. And just remember that when you meet the string, you can go over it if it's comfortable for you to do so, or you can stop. It's entirely up to you. But do whatever feels comfortable for you. And just remember to breathe. Because we do always hold our breath when we're concentrating on things. So it's just relaxing and just breathing normally. And you can just have a standalone one, you know, they don't have to join up. So if you wanted to, you could just have one over here. Maybe just in the space, you can choose if you want to continue filling it with the cloves, or if you wanted to add something. So maybe I could do some little 1, 2, 3s just to fill the spaces in between. Just shade in there, I think. Shade in there. You might decide to put some little poke leaf or poke root, but just choose something that you can fill that space with. It could be tipple, just some little circles, but white space is fine too. So if you want to leave the space, then that is absolutely fine as well. And where you've got little spaces, you can just shade those in. Just colour them with your pen. And the 1, 2, 3 can basically just grow out of just about anywhere. It's one of those little fillers. And turn your tile so that it is the most comfortable for you. Okay, you can just kind of firm up the border, if you like, on that side. And when you meet something, just go behind it. So on this side, I think I'm going to just have a couple more of my little garlic cloves. And you can just fill in behind either with the garlic clove lines or just colour in the space with your pen. Just going along that string basically. Adding my 1, 2, 3. And remember, they can go in any direction. So I didn't really mean to, but it looks like really I've created a border with the 1, 2, 3 along the center string there. So now on this side, I'm going to start by doing some of my Zenith. Okay, so just along this line here, this border, I'm just going to do some little kind of mountains. But you can decide which direction you want to put yours. Okay, and obviously when they bump into the side you can stop. And then I'm just going to do a little dot in the center of each of those hills, and I'm going to basically come up to meet them and then come and do like a big kind of rainbow arc round from the center to the next center and then down to meet the edge. Okay, and then in each of these I'm going to do a little circle. So on each of the kind of valleys we'll do a circle, and you can do that on the opposite side. So if I just flip that round, in each of these valleys I'll do a circle as well. Okay, and then I'm going to just colour in the circle, but I'm going to leave a little white spot just so it looks like a reflection. So just colour it in, kind of leave a little bit of a white spot. And then I'm going to flip that round and do exactly the same on the other side. And then we can just aura each of our little circles. And you can decide how many that you add. But I think I'm going to go with 3. Okay. And then flip that round. And on this side, actually, because I'm right at the border, I'm just going to leave that. Okay. So I'm not going to do any. And then what I think I will do is on this side, I'm going to go along this border and do the same actually. It might be easier to start from this side. I'm going to do it that way. It's easier for me to do it that way. And mountains. And when you meet your 1, 2, 3 on this side, just go behind and imagine where it would continue on. And then I'm just going to do a little dot in each of my mountains. And I'm going to join that dot and go to meet the next one, and the next one, the next one. Just follow that along like that. Okay, so I'm kind of creating a border on this side, and I'll do my orbs. And I'll colour those in. just leaving a little white spot. And then flipping it over and doing exactly the same on the other side. Just adding a little orb in the valley of each of those. Colouring it in and leaving a little white. Okay. And then again, create a little aura around your orb. So we'll do 3. And because that one's right on the border, I might actually get one. No, I'm going to leave it. No, that's the other one anyway. Now you can, if you like, actually add pattern on your auras. So you can just do little lines like this. So if you just go along, do little okay. Like that. Okay, I'm just going to get my flukes and the flukes, which is this one here. Okay, so I'm going to put it in my space here. So it is a grid pattern, and basically it's a diagonal. You want to have your tile on a diagonal really when you put the grid in. So I'm going to just take a point. So let's just see about, I go roughly, and it kind of has a curve to it as well. So if you just have a kind of curve on your grid. Okay, and then we're going to do the same on the opposite side basically. So it is a curve on the grid. So let's just and then what you do is basically in each space you're going to do, it is like an aura. So you'll just aura that with like a backwards L, if that helps. So I'm going to just show you on a big piece of card. So if you've got your grid, and what you're doing is, I know it's like a diagonal grid, but just so that you can see, you're doing like an L shape, and you just keep going with that until you get to the top. And then what you'll actually do is colour in that first little cube that you've created. Okay, so let me show you that again. So you're basically around the square, but just on half of it. Okay, like so. And then the last little square will get colored in. Okay, just a tiny bit in here. I should be able to see like that. And that's kind of filled that space. On this, I kind of like the white space. So all I'm going to do is just do some little fescue coming in just slightly into the space. So if you remember, fescue is like a little string, and then I say it's kind of like an eye of a needle that you colour in. So I just kind of think I'm going to just have some little sort of fescue coming in here, because I kind of just like it with the kind of white. It's like a bit of interest on the page. So I want to leave most of it white. Just kind of spinning my tile around and having a look now. I'm going to do some shading now. So on the garlic cloves, I'm really just going to accentuate the shading where they meet. So kind of where there's a clump, I'm going to just sort of put more graphite down and kind of blend that in. And shading in Zentangle is not about light and dark, it's about giving it depth and kind of making it pop off the page to sort of maybe make it look a little bit more 3D than 2D. So by kind of radiating out from the centers of those, I think it will give them a little bit more of a popping off the page kind of look. And even maybe just going around the outsides where the 1, 2, 3 border goes, just to sort of, yeah, give it definition really. And I'm just going to go along that border as well. Yeah, kind of, but as long as you leave some white space, I think that's the important bit, you know, some white on that. And with the flukes, you want to shade basically down each row. So where you can see the kind of visible sort of separation of each, that's really where you want to shade. So kind of where you've done the grid pattern. So just kind of mark that off with the graphite on your pencil. And then basically blend that out. And that should make it look like they're starting to kind of pop off the page and more 3D. Okay, so kind of, it's just defining them really. But again, make sure you leave some white so that they kind of look like you're drawn in now. And on the Zenith, I think I'm just going to shade around where the orb is, so that underneath the orb is shaded. And then I'm just going to come along where the border is and do a little bit of definition on that line. And then again in underneath my orb. Maybe just on one side actually. Like that. Yeah, I like that. So on the little sort of pool here that I've created, I think I'm just going to go around the outside of it so that you're drawn into the center of it. So I'll just kind of bring that sort of slightly in, just so that there's a more white center, so that you're kind of pulled to there. Okay. My clothes is a little bit bright there. If you just sort of take a moment and look, we'll find somewhere to put our initials, but just kind of just take a little moment, and if you need to add a little bit, do any more kind of shading, maybe just around the orb. Actually, it's quite bright. Just, yeah, soften that a little bit, I think. So just take a moment to have a look, make sure you're happy with the shading and things that you've just done. And then I'm just going to get my pen, and I think I've got like a space sort of down in here. So I think I'm just going to put my little PB just in that little tiny space there. Okay. And then I'm just going to turn it around. And then if you just want to just hold it at arm's length, and as there's no upside down or top or bottom or whatever with Zentangle, you can look at it in each of the different directions and just really appreciate that this is a little piece of artwork that you've made today. So just take a moment to just reflect on that. And then I'm just going to turn over and write my name. And today's date is the 8th of April 21. And we've done Flukes and Garlic Cloves and 1, 2, 3. Some Fescu and Zenith. Yeah, I think that's, I know we've added some little orbs on there, but that's still really, I suppose, Zenith, but just a little tangulation that we added on. And that's that for today.